Welcome to the Oakley Podcast, Trucking, Business, and Family. This show is brought to you by Oakley Trucking, headquartered in North Little Rock, Arkansas. The purpose of this podcast is to communicate with Oakley owner-operators and their families by giving them up-to-date information concerning Oakley Trucking and the trucking industry, from business advice to safety updates to success stories. Also to give an insight to outside truck drivers that might be interested in joining the Oakley family. Hi, this is Jeremy Kellett, Director of Recruiting here at Oakley Trucking, and I'm your host for this podcast. This is episode 17. On today's podcast, we're going to talk to a couple of guys that you may not know, but have a huge impact on Oakley Trucking when it comes to the trailer that you're pulling. We're going to get a little insight on the relationship between Oakley Trucking and Mack Trailers. Before we get started with them, I just want to thank you guys for listening. Appreciate all the feedback you're giving us, and it really helps us make decisions on what information to put out to you. Please share it with some friends. It is, like we say in the intro, it's the purpose of this podcast is for our owner-operators and their families and help make them more successful, which makes Oakley more successful. We're going to start a new segment this week called the Need to Know segment. It will be brought to you each and every week by Vicki Chastain. And its purpose is to give you, our listeners, a different subject every week to focus on that will help make Oakley and its independent contractors more successful. Here's our first Need to Know segment.
On today's Need to Know segment, we're going to talk about communication. 9 times out of 10, when Oakley Trucking has a service failure with a customer, it comes back to a breakdown in communication. Somewhere between the customer, the person that booked the load, the dispatcher, or the truck driver. Communication is key to success. That's a topic of this week's Need to Know segment. It all starts with the person booking the load. He has to get good, specific information about the shipper and the receiver, material we're loading, hours of operation, and load numbers. It's very important that all this information is passed on to the owner-operator so they can do their job and provide good customer service. In the world of technology, there is a lot of ways to communicate, but none of them can replace verbal communication. Qualcomm may show your location, but it doesn't tell the whole story. That's why Dispatch emphasizes verbal communication every day to establish accurate ETAs, because that is what they plan off each and every day. If your ETA changes, then the dispatch has to know as soon as possible. Good communication makes successful companies. Here at Oakley Trucking, we want our owner-operators to be very successful, because when they're successful, then we're successful. Do your part to improve communication from the beginning of when the load is booked to when it is delivered. Thanks for your help in making Oakley Trucking successful. Communication, that's this week's Need to Know segment.
So let's get started. On today's episode, we're going to talk to David Edwards, and we're going to talk to Mike Conny. Mike Conny is the owner of Mack Trailers, and David plays a big role with Mack Trailers that we've been dealing with for years. You guys on the line with me?
Yes, we are. Yes, I am.
Oh, good. Glad to hear you guys. I appreciate y'all joining us here on this episode to talk about Mack Trailers. So give us a little bit of... I know Mack Trailers are huge. I was looking on you guys' website and didn't realize, just all the places you are. Didn't realize you had that many different places. You're based out of Ohio. Is that right, Mike?
Yeah, the headquarters is Ohio. That's where we started the business back in 1993 in Ohio. But since then, we've branched out. We've got 4 manufacturing plants in Ohio. We've got a manufacturing in Billings, Montana, Fort Worth, Texas, and Davis, Oklahoma. So altogether, we've got 7 manufacturing plants that build the basically 4 product lines for us, and also Kent, Ohio. So we have liquid tanks that we do, gasoline, crude oil, chemical. We just bought Birch Tank in Michigan, so that gives us 8 plants. So we've got tanks, flatbeds, dump trailers, and refuge. So we've got 4 different segments of the company, and so we've kind of separated them off into different manufacturing plants so that we can break things down and watch things closely and communicate very quickly with our plants and our operations. So that's really our goal, and that's why we're all over North America.
Well, that sounds great. That's a diverse operation. Sounds to me like in all kinds of different trailers. That really helps you a lot.
Yeah, each plant builds their own operation. So in other words, I've got a plant out in Billings, Montana, and it builds liquid. It builds gasoline tanks. That's what it does, and they get good at that. Like for Oakley Trucking, our main plant or our main office is in Alliance, Ohio, and that's our main plant. And we build Oakley's dump trailers there, and that's where we build those. And then right down the road in Salem, Ohio, is where we build their pneumatic tanks. So that plant builds nothing but pneumatics. So what we found over the years is we can isolate and drill down into a plant, and everybody in that plant, they understand that. So when Toby or somebody from Oakley's calling and they want to talk about a pneumatic tank, he's talking to people that's all they do is pneumatic business. And then he would talk to a whole new segment of individuals if he's talking about the dump plant. So and he's got those contacts. Obviously, he's got David and I. He talks to David and I and Benny and those guys. But when they want to talk to plant operations, they know what plant to call, and those are professionals that build just that product. So it works very well.
Now, how did this relationship get started? And do you remember that? I guess David probably got it started. Do you remember how that happened, David?
The first day I started the Mag Trailer, Mike and I met in Orlando, Florida, and the first person we went to see was Benny Weatherford at Oakley. And do you remember that, Mike? Oh,
I remember it like it's tattooed in my forehead. Toughest sales call I ever went on in my life. Yeah. So it's and I don't want to drag it out, but old Benny reminded me that day that he got there without Mac trailers, and he said, "I sure would like to have a relationship with you, but you got to come around a little bit on those prices."
He told Mike. Do you remember the story? He stood Mike up the window and says, "Look out there, Mike." Mike looks out the window. Yeah, that's impressive. And he says, "I did all that without one Mac trailer."
Yeah, so that's how the relationship started. Benny was very fair to us, gave us an opportunity. It's probably been almost 20 years now that they gave us an opportunity to build the Oakley Trucking product, and we worked really hard to build them a good product. We listen to them when they want changes. If they need something, they need parts. We work as a partner. I remember when they wanted some frameless trailers built with so the suspensions would stay down on the ground. They called up for a certain haul. They needed a type of suspension that was different. And first thing we did is, we got on an airplane. We went out there and listened to them, and we developed a certain subframe for them. So, it's been a wonderful relationship. They've given me orders when we didn't have much work. I'd call out there to talk to Benny, and he'd give us orders when I was slow and help us get through hard times. So together, we've had a wonderful relationship over the 20 years.
Well,
when you say, David?
Mike, it's been unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
We actually built, the trailers we built for Benny, it's a pretty special trailer. I mean, it's not, he wants what he wants, and we do a lot of things for Oakley that we don't normally do for other people. Once a trailer's assembled, you really can't necessarily see that, but there's just a lot of detail built into that trailer that you don't see when you just see an Oakley trailer running down the road. It looks like any other trailer, but it's not. I was just, thinking about, when I first met Oakley, y'all were still running through Hoffs, and you still ran some of the tie brooks, and then, Benny was, I don't know. I mean, I think when you've really grown a lot, I mean, all of a sudden you just didn't grow, you exploded and really, really got big. And I guess that started somewhere back in probably the mid to late 90s. But, cause I was around then and watched it all and was just totally amazed. But, like Mike was saying, we put a floor. We don't put a 6061 T6 floor in anybody's trailer but Oakley. I've watched the y'all run forklifts in your trailers, and I've watched over the years the problems that we had there. We started out with I think 12-inch cross members and a lighter cross, on 12-inch centers and a lighter cross member. Now we use heavy-duty cross members on a 10-inch center, which is almost unheard of. We don't really do that for anybody else. The wall panels that we use for Oakley, I mean, it's a heavier wall panel than we use for anybody else as far as the thickness. It does add some weight, but like Mike said, when you get through that trailer in 5 years, that's generally your turnaround time. You've really got something left that's valuable.
I guess those specifics that you're getting, you're just getting that from from Toby and Benny of what would probably work
Well,
better for
you
what
know,
we do?
probably, I'll be honest with you, it's usually, I mean, Toby and Benny, but almost everything we've learned on about speccing out a trailer. I mean, we know how to build a trailer, but the little things, I mean, almost all that you learn from the owner-operators.
Yeah.
Those guys are smart. They always are looking for an easier and better way to do something. And a lot of the things that we've learned over the years have come from the owner operators. I mean, you know, when you're out there working with it every day, you're going to figure out a better way to do it, or easier way, or safer way. And so a lot of the things that we do for you guys are came from the owner operator.
Well, I really believe. Yeah, I do too. They definitely know what will work in different situations and what wears out fast and what doesn't, and what, I mean, they are, like you said, they're very smart guys, and they help make decisions so we can make the job easier and more efficient for them.
Well, another one of the little things we do, of course, bulkhead doors. We put a bulkhead door so the guys don't have to climb over the side of the trailer and risk getting hurt. That's one of the things that Oakley demands. And another thing
has that door been
that nobody else.
I'm sorry, David. Has that door been successful? I mean, I should know that, but I don't know if that door. I'm assuming it's a big hit with these drivers that going in and out of that front door. Is there any downside to those doors? Have you seen?
I have run into some specific hauls where that door didn't work well. I mean, there's some where you're hauling liquid, or sludge haulers and guys like that. But just general over the road, bulk freight, the way you guys haul, I don't know of any drawbacks.
Yeah, I don't either. I think they work fantastic.
Anything that'll keep you. Have you ever climbed over the side of one of those trailers?
I sure have, quite a few times, and that.
It's pretty scary. Even if you're young, and you get older, and it's just almost probably impossible. So I think a lot of that's driven by workman's comp also.
Safety, yeah, figuring out a safer way to do it. Yeah, I think they've made a big difference in what we've done. It's helped us actually be able to lease on guys that might not be as physically fit or able like a lot of these other guys, like you say, young guy do it. You get a little bit older and you get a little more hesitant to set up there on that rail and climb in and out of that thing. That door's made a big difference, I think, to a lot of these guys.
Yeah. I mean, there are times you need to get in that trailer, and I'll be honest with y'all, y'all run a 66-inch side trailer, and of course, most people are probably tall enough to reach over that, but if I got stuck in a trailer, I'd have a hard time getting out. And with that door, that bulkhead door, I mean, you can get out. You're not going to get stuck in the trailer. And I actually have heard horror stories over the years about that.
Now,
guys couldn't get it.
Do you deal much with the pneumatics, David?
A little bit. I mean, I deal Benny. I mean, I'm familiar with what you guys buy.
I was wondering about those automatic handrails that pop up on top of those trailers.
That's pretty cool. I don't know of anybody else who does that. And of course, that's a liability thing also.
Is that something that we came up and y'all started doing that on these trailers for us specifically?
You know what? I'll be honest with you. When we first got into the bulk tanks, Benny was the first one that stepped up and tried some of them. Okay, and Benny really helped us work through some issues there. And believe it or not, when we first designed that tank, we did a pretty dang good job. Mike did researching, and so we kind of knew it was going to work. But Benny did help us kind of fine tune it, and I don't know if Benny and Toby came up with that idea, or if we did. But I can tell you, it was early on when we started building these things. I don't know the history of that for sure, but I think some of the first ones that we ever built with handrails were for you guys. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that was Toby's idea or not.
Well, they're a big hit because we get several guys request that if they don't have one on the trailer, they want one. Because I've been on top of those tanks too, and I definitely would need some rails, or I'm going to be on my hands and knees crawling around up there.
Well, you can. It's really funny. You can get up there with the handrails, and you walk. You may not even really need the handrails or touch them. But when you get on one that does not have handrails, you're right. You want to get down and crawl. I mean,
Yeah.
just the fact that they're there, gives you a lot of confidence.
Yeah, they do. Any other specifics you want to share with us?
No, I mean not really. I mean, it's hard to just pull up. I mean, I've got some more information on the dump trailers here.
Yeah.
And little things that we do for you guys.
Yeah, share those with us.
You're probably the only company in the country that orders a side swing gate on the driver's side. And Benny came up with that, and so your controls for your dump trailer are on the driver's side, and you get a two-way gate on all of your trailers, and so it swings to the driver's side, which makes sense because when the driver is a problem, it's not a common problem, but it happens. When most people put a two-way gate on, they swing it on the curb side. Well, when the driver's dumping that trailer, you chain the gate against the side of the trailer, but when he's dumping that trailer, he can't see that gate is on the opposite side of the trailer. So if the gate comes unchained, which they not commonly do, but it can happen. As that trailer goes up, it'll just rip that gate off the trailer.
Right.
Well, Benny's and Toby are thinking, well, why not put it on the driver's side? That way the driver can see it when it goes up. And if it comes unchained or if it gets into the pile, he can just stop. And actually, you scratch your head and you think about it, and well, dang, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's one of the few things that we do for you guys that we don't do for anybody else.
Yeah.
Just don't ask for it.
That makes sense, though, and that's good stuff.
And we do the removable flaps for you guys. Of course, Benny was ripping off flaps, and he's like, when you've got as many trailers as you guys do, it's a pretty costly, problem. And so he just said, well, let's make them removable. So they came up with the idea of how to do it, and worked with our engineers, and we designed a little extrusion there with a little T shape that just slides in, and that's actually a lot of other people have seen that on your trailers and asked for it.
I figured that because that's a genius idea there. I mean, that's everybody that we hook up to a dump trailer, they go, well, now that's what I'm talking about. That's smart, and it keeps those mud flaps out of the way, and it's one of those things you go, man, we should have thought of that a long time ago. Can't believe everybody's not doing this, and it just takes just another minute because, you used to have to bend them up under the deal, and they would, after you bent them and try to put them on top of the tires, sometimes they would stay there, sometimes they wouldn't, and then after so many times, they'd start breaking in the middle, and then you'd see guys with, half mud flaps running down the highway or none, and then you get these good durable mud flaps that slide out and then slide back in. I mean, that's made a world of difference in the mud flap business for sure for us, the expense anyway.
Well, and that flap that we use is a really nice heavy flap. I mean, it's not, you can't just go buy those at a truck stop, and I mean, you really don't want to be ripping them off and losing them. And you can rip that flap off, but it takes a lot. But that's a lot of it's a lot of weight pushing against it or rolling up over it when you're dumping.
Yeah.
The trailers we built, we started out building y'all pretty much closed tandems. Now y'all switched over to pretty much all spread axles, and with a lift axle on that front axle, which is really nice. I mean, at the past, I don't know, 100 or 200 trailers you ordered, I think, have pretty much been spread axles as far as the square dumps.
Yeah, that's a big hit with our owner operators too, and it makes a lot of difference on hauling the weight, where they don't have to worry about axling out like they do with the tandems. It makes it a big difference. We have a lot of requests for spread axles, so hopefully pretty soon it won't take too much longer. We'll have all the tandems out and spreads in.
Yeah, I'll be darned.
Do we have?
That's
Here's a question I got that I don't even know. I hadn't even asked Benny. I talked to him this morning briefly, but do we even have an order in with you guys right now?
I don't know. In the past 20 years that I've been with Mac, I can't remember when y'all didn't have an order in with us for something. And that's the honest to goodness truth. I mean,
I think we are getting some pneumatics in.
I think we're building some pneumatics for you right now.
Yeah,
some
I think so too.
1650 bags. I'm pretty certain we are. I mean, y'all have bought everything from 1050, 1250s. I think you bought some 1350, 1650, 1650 vacs and cement, or for dirt. All the way up to, I think, 2,000's about the biggest cubic foot tank that we've sold y'all.
Right.
But y'all bought just about everything that we build. I mean, it's just amazing at how versatile y'all are.
Yeah, it is great. It has been it is definitely a good company to be with for sure because we're diversified. David, I know you've communicated with us for years. Anything special you notice about Oakley as a company that's maybe different than most companies you might work with?
Well, I would venture to say that Oakley is probably, if not our biggest customer, one of our biggest. Mike, you can probably answer that better than me. But the things we do for Oakley that we normally don't do for anybody else. But Oakley's just been Benny's been a great friend to Mike and I, and we just really appreciate everything y'all have done for us.
Well,
I really think it boils down to fairness. Everybody is fair with each other. Okay, when there's a change or it's a $2,200 option, as long as you explain to Oakley what they're getting for their $2,200. A lot of customers want to beat you out of that, and there's not a lot of room in this business. They're very fair people to do business with, and if you explain to them what you're doing, and those are the type of customers you want, and I think they get that on their end. I think their customers they do business with is also fair. So it's a very fair group of very, very fair group of managers that from their ownership on down at Oakley that allows you to be close as long as you do a good job for them as an owner operator pulling their trailers or as a vendor. I think the relationship obviously will work and everyone will be successful. That's how I look at that whole picture.
So what is the so if Benny, I know he typically orders, a lot of times 20 at a time, trailers. From the time he makes an order, him or Toby, I think Toby's doing a lot of it now, but what's the turnaround time on that stuff? Is it, I guess, depend on the market and what's going on right now, but how long can you get a trailer done for Oakley Trucking?
Well, if they called up and they needed a trailer in 4 weeks, I'd build them a trailer in 4 weeks. We find a way to get their product. If they get a big haul and they need to put equipment on a job, but they don't do that all the time. They'll tell you most of the time we like 90 days. When you say, David, is a nice round number, 90 days.
Yeah, that's it. That 3 months is 10 to 12 weeks.
Yeah, and that's most of the time, 80% of the time, that's fine. But if they go out there and get a big contract, it's in our best interest to obviously get them their trailers so that they can do a good job for their customers. So I'd say 3 months is a normal deal. But if they need something in 4 weeks, we'll build them something. Or else I probably at any given time we've got 300 or 400 used trailers, and we'll get them into used equipment so they can use it till the new stuff's done. I'm
assuming the pneumatics take a lot longer than the end dumps. Is that right or wrong?
Well, when you build a pneumatic, there's a lot of 600-hour trailers. It takes 600 hours to build those pneumatic trailers, and an end dump, you can build an end dump in 250 hours. So,
okay,
yeah, and I could agree with that. But what happens is, once we put it in production, it goes down the line pretty fast, and we have their specs and they're engineered already, so we don't have to go through if Oakley calls up and they need some 1633 pneumatics, we know exactly what they want, and I have parts and I have inventory for that trailer, so it can go pretty quick.
The pneumatic side, they really look good going down the road. I mean, you guys make some nice looking equipment, and the dumps too, but the pneumatics really catch the eye as it's going down the road. So I don't know what you guys do to make them shine like that, but boy, when they come off the line, they look really sharp.
Well, that all starts when we're ordering our material from United States Mills, which is Alcoa or Castellum. We demand a beautiful piece of aluminum and not candy striped, not brush marks. We might be probably picky. We buy direct from the mill. I don't buy overseas. I buy right here in the U.S. And we determine we want good material. And believe me, if you talk to Alcoa, I know they could get by without my business, but there's been many a times where we send stuff back because we just have to have it right. And they're a wonderful mill, and they build a good product. Both of those mills do a good job, but they know that we expect excellence on our material. And our customers, that's why they're buying Mack Treaders, because they expect excellence. So it's a team thing. It's when you're in business, you have to have customers that work with you as a team, and you have to have your vendors as a team. So that's how we feel about business. So Oakley is just one of those customers that work well with a team environment.
When are you guys going to come down here and see us again?
When do you want us down there?
with that virus, we haven't been down there for 6 months. I met Benny about 6 months ago in a restaurant. Him and Toby come over and have breakfast with me at a little diner down around the corner. But we'll be down soon.
Yeah, it's shut things down for sure. Around here, we don't do a lot of traveling. Y'all need to come. You'll be impressed with our new office. We have built a new office right here on the river, just across the levee from the old office, and it is super nice over here. So, real good.
Well, I kind of liked your old office. You didn't have much overhead there.
Not much at all.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, not much at all. That's changed now, though, Mike. It's changed for sure.
Oh, well, that's all right. It's funny how, as an owner of Mack Treader, I watch what other people do and how they do things. And first time I went down there, I seen Benny, and you had nice offices. Don't get me wrong, but I noticed that you spent your money on your equipment. You spent a lot of money on equipment and people, and before buildings and stuff like that. But I think the younger generation likes a nice place to work. You know, so I could see why you went out and built some new offices and stuff like that, because these younger generations, they seem to. I don't blame them. Well, they want a nice place to work. So
yeah, it is nice.
I'm doing the same thing.
But I tell you one thing that has made an impact, and you guys might not have heard this before, but you probably have. But we recruit independent contractors and lease them on to pull our trailers, and you would not believe how many people come over here because they see our equipment rolling down the road and they see how good it looks. So we hook a good looking tractor to the good looking trailer you guys provide to us, and you just wouldn't believe how many people, they see that equipment and they go, they're doing something right because they got good looking equipment going down the road, and it attracts good owner operators. It really works, and I can't say that enough. But we hear that every week. Every orientation class I have, you'll hear that every week about how I saw the equipment and how good it looked, and that's what made me want to look into Oakley Trucking.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I have never seen an Oakley Trucking on the highway that didn't resemble nice looking equipment and first class equipment.
Yeah.
When I go up down the highway, and I'm proud to be part of it.
Well, we're proud to have you guys as part of it. Anything you want to add to that, David or Mike? I mean, I think we've covered quite a bit, and I sure appreciate you guys doing this for me.
We really appreciate and are proud of the relationship that we've developed with Oakley. It's been a good one, and we've tried to develop a product that you can be proud of and that we're proud of, and it. I hope it works, well for you, and I'm pretty certain that it does. We just, the little changes that we make and things that we do for Oakley you don't see it. When you just look at the trailer, you see it's a pretty trailer, but you don't realize the toughness that's built into that trailer. But we appreciate everything y'all done for us, Jeremy.
You bet, man. Well, I appreciate the relationship, and it's been a great one, and I sure appreciate y'all taking time. I know you're busy, you got stuff going on, and especially Mike, I know you've got a lot of responsibility in owning Mack trailers, and David does too. Has a lot of responsibility down there in the state of Florida. I'm sure he's covered up, busy. But I sure am glad you guys took the time to visit with me today and give our listeners just a little bit more knowledge about the trailers, the Mack trailers that we use, and also about the relationship. And I think you explained it very well, both of you, and I think that'll help our listeners understand what we're trying to do here as a company and be successful. And to do that, we've got to have successful relationships with people like you guys, and also with our owner-operators. So thanks for joining me today. Hey, I appreciate everybody listening to our podcast. Man, it's making a difference in the Oakley world, and appreciate all your feedback. Be sure and share this stuff with your friends, and try to get everybody to listen to it. If you got some feedback, man, please give it to us. We'll be glad to listen to you, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Oakley Podcast, Trucking, Business, and Family. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate or review the show in the podcast platform of your choice and share it with a friend. We love hearing from our audience, so if you've got a question, comment, or just want to say hello, head over to our website, theoakleypodcast.com, and click the Leave a Comment button. We'll get you a response soon and may even share some of the best ones here on the show. We'll be back with a fresh episode very soon. Thanks for listening.